Hello and welcome. This is Mouse Gunner, and I'm going to be looking at a brand new game, Motorsport Manager. This is a F1 style racing team management sim, similar in feel to the Football Manager series. As a matter of fact, it's put out by the same publisher, Sega. It's not necessarily, I think, made by the same development team, but does definitely feel similar to the way Football Manager is. Now, it's obviously a different sport, so there's going to be a lot of differences. And I picked this game up because I recently got into Football Manager 17, playing it on my own time. And this showed up in my recommendations on Steam, came out a couple days ago. I thought I'd give it a look, so I jumped into the tutorial. And this is going to be a game that has quite a steep learning curve. I played the tutorial. I think I understand most of the concepts, but whether or not I will excel at them, I'm not really sure. I do have some knowledge of the sport. It's been a while since I've watched F1 racing and also IndyCar racing, which I did watch when I could, when I had television, but I haven't had television for a few years now, so it's been a little while since I've watched either sport. So I have a little bit of knowledge, but I wouldn't say that I'm all that knowledgeable in the sport. In any case, let's go ahead and jump into a new career here. Now, as I said, I did take a look at the tutorial, so we're going to be turning that off. I'm going to go ahead and go with medium session length. This is pretty much how long the races are going to be. You can speed up time during the race, so I don't see having a longer race really being a problem. I think this is already set up with the settings that I chose last time I started up the tutorial, so we're going to be using American dollars and the date format here. Now I have to design my team leader, so I am Mouse Gunner. I'm going to be putting in my age here. All the way down. There we go. And I was born in 1985. All right. So I am from North America, United States. Now you get to choose what background you have. You have X-Driver, which gives your drivers a morale bonus. You have X-Engineer, which allows you to design parts quicker. I chose this when I did the tutorial. You have Financial, gives you, I guess, a reduction in payments of anything that you have to do. Politico, +4 each season for voting power. I didn't get to see how the voting power worked. I didn't go that far into the tutorial or that far into the season to see if there was a tutorial for that. And then unknown, you get no bonuses. And obviously, no bonuses is no good here. So we're either going to go with X-Driver or X-Engineer, I think. I did choose X-Engineer, and that would be useful in my opinion. A lot of the bonuses here depend on what team you're going to pick. So driver morale might be more important with some teams than others. So I think I'm going to go with the X-Engineers for now. I am a man, hairstyle. I think it's keeping pretty much what I chose last time, except it doesn't have the glasses. I had a little bit fuller beard and darker hair, though. There we go. That's pretty much good enough. Let's go on from here. All right, now we have to choose the team we're going to lead. So there's 3 different championships that you can choose from. There's World Motorsport, which is the top tier. Then you have Asian Pacific and European Racing. I think considering that I am pretty much a beginner to the game, I think it would be wiser to choose the lower down series. So we'll go with that. But you get pretty much a differentiation here. You get more prize money, more TV audience, and more overall races the higher up you go. Down here we have less races and less audience and less prize money, obviously. Now I think there might be a possibility to work your way up to other tiers. So even though we're starting at the bottom, I think you can work your way up to other tiers. I don't know that for sure, but I think there's a possibility because there is some events you can do, and one of those events is choosing the bottom team in the European Racing Series and leading it to the top, which I would assume the top of World Motorsport, but we'll see. Okay, so these are the different teams, and pretty much they're listed by how they're expected to finish. So we have Garuda Racing here. I don't think who it's based out of or where it's based out of or who's sponsoring it or whatever this means really matters, because The actual team members will be from all over the world. As a matter of fact, in the tutorial, I chose ZRT, which it does say United States here, but I think my racer, my lead driver, I mean, was Spanish, and I think the leader of my team, or the owner of my team, was Russian or something. I don't really remember, but I don't think this necessarily means anything. But pretty much, let's go over what we have here. So, if we look at Predator Racing Group down at the bottom, they're based out of Australia. We get a little bit of a description here, so they may be a young team, but what they lack in experience, they may make up for in pluck. A shoestring budget forces everyone to muck in and has gradually nurtured a fantastic team rapport. A small team with great potential. So, we have the budget. I think that's pretty much just your starting money, and again, I don't think that necessarily matters. Your expected finish, that kind of does matter, and then your pressure. I'm assuming this is, how likely you are to be fired. And then you have your actual team stats here. So Predator Racing Group is at the bottom for all things. So you've got car performance, drivers, headquarters, staff, and sponsors. So pretty much what this means is Predator Racing does not have a very good marketability, so they're not likely to pick up very good sponsors. Their staffing right now is there's not much there. We don't have much staff, or we don't have much upgrades. Mostly I think it's skill though. Headquarters, we don't really have much in the way of facilities. Drivers, skill of our drivers, pretty self-explanatory. And then car performance, how good our car performs. So obviously Predator Racing Group is at the bottom. We go up to the next team, which is the one I use in the tutorial. We have a little bit better car performance. We have definitely an increase in driver skill, increase in sponsors, but low points in staff and headquarters. So pretty much the way this team worked when I looked at them in the tutorial is you have one driver that's extremely skilled, but he's a spoiled brat and he's hard to deal with, and there's a lot of morale issues as far as the way the team relates to each other because of that. But because you have a nice, skilled driver, your team's pretty marketable, so it's easy to pick up sponsorships. Sponsorships is a good way to rake in cash. So although the budget here isn't high compared to other teams here, you can get money pretty fast. So that starting money is not too bad, and expected finish is 9th. Then we go up, we have Archer BMR, which is more middle of the road, it looks like. And then the description here is a well-balanced team combining new and young talent with experienced pros. If it was going to be any year for Archer BMR to win a season, this is it. The top priority of any new principal would be to maintain Archer's upward trajectory. So we have a little bit more budget than we saw with ZRT, actually double. Expected finish is 8th, again, middle of the road. And then we have medium pressure. So ZRT we had low, here we have medium. I think I'm actually probably going to choose Archer BMR, but let's just take a look at our competition. We have Dragon Race Team, which much of their funding from the paid driver Bao, so maybe a good driver there, or a very marketable driver. While he may not be talented, the money he brings to the table, yeah, okay, so that pretty much tells us right there. So our lead driver isn't necessarily all that skilled, but he's very marketable, so we get a lot of sponsors. Maybe he's very handsome or something. We also have great facilities and not too bad of a staff. It's mostly the driver skill and our car performance that probably needs improvement. And we start with a good amount of cash as well. So you can see kind of when you start getting to the mid-tier and higher teams, how much lower these two teams are. Then we have Octane Racing out of Canada. So good driver skill, decent car performance, but not so great in facility staff and sponsorships. So Octane hires some of the best talent from across the world to create a team that gets results. Everyone works well together and knows their place in the team. A new team principal will find it easy to work with a team of top professionals. So pretty much a good team, but not necessarily a good opportunity to make a lot of money. Okay, we've got Finland, so I'm not going to read all of these. Again, I think I'm going to go with Archer BMR because I think that's a good starting point here. They've got good car performance, good drivers, great marketability, not so great in staff and headquarters, although you can always improve these things, so not too big of a deal. Then we have Sylvia Racing out of Brazil. Again, not bad on drivers and car performance, good staff, okay sponsorship and headquarters though. Then we have Firebird MRT out of Russia. Pretty good across the board, except not so great on sponsorship. And you can actually see with some of these, we're starting to have a higher pressure here. So your pressure to succeed is much higher with these upper tier teams in this league, our championship. So that makes sense. And then we have Eastwood Motorsport. Pretty great team here outside of the sponsorship. And then finally Garuda. Again, pretty much the same. Just a little bit of a swap for driver skill and staff. Outside of that, pretty similar. Garuda has, I think, the highest budget starting anyway. In any case, we talked about starting with Archer BMR. I think this team has a lot of room for improvement. Budget isn't good starting off, but, you know, not too bad sponsorship-wise, so maybe we can rake in some cash. And I love the yellow and black color scheme, so that's the main reason I'm choosing it. So let's go ahead and choose this team. All right, now in the tutorial, we started off right away with the race. That might be the case here as well. We just won't have the tutorial elements intervening. Okay, so that is not the case without the tutorial, which is actually good because that means I get to set up my team before we start. So again, if you're familiar with Football Manager, you're going to see a lot of similarities here. First, we're going to want to start with the mail here. So we've got welcome to Archer BMR. So, all right, we're delighted that you've chosen to start your manager career with us. Hopefully there are some great times ahead of us. I'm Gordon, and I'll keep you up to date with everything going on around the team. That should be all for now. Good luck. All right, so these are possibly our drivers. So we've got Mustafa El Sadat. First off, can I say it's cool to have someone who knows cars inside out working as the team principal because I'm engineer. I get on really well with Alex Rogers, which is our other driver, so hope you're going to keep us all feeling like one big happy family. Our car is looking strong at the moment, and there's a chance I could win this year, so don't let me down. So this might be our lead driver here. He's pretty young. Those are his overall stats. And the stars pretty much give you an idea of how skilled he is, and then the black star is his potential to grow, and then the grayed out stars are pretty much nothing. So he could be a 3 1/4-ish star driver here. And then we have Alex Rogers. You used to be a chief engineer, right? You should be pretty good at getting the car working nicely then. Mustafa El Sadat and I get on okay, but I'm going to be working my socks off to prove to you that I'm a much better driver. I'm pretty sure I can win a few races this season. If you give me the support within the team, that's it. Ta. All right. So he's a little bit more experienced, but he has no potential. So he's pretty much at a 2 1/4 star, and that's pretty much where all we're going to get out of him. So both of our drivers are very similar in skill right now, but Mustafa has more potential in the future. All right, we got Gunther Ziegler. All right, welcome for myself and all the guys in the design facility. So this is our lead designer. Okay, so he's happy that we're a engineer ourselves. Okay. On the HQ front, our design facility is pretty decent, but there's always room for improvement. On the car front, we could definitely use some work on our engine. It's lagging behind the competition, and we could do with an upgrade. Anyway, I look forward to working with you. All right, we've got our scout as head of the scouting department. Okay, they've got a report here. Mustafa El Sadat is an average driver in the European Racing Series. His potential is good, though, and given the chance to improve, he could certainly become one of the better drivers in the championship. Mustafa's great strength is his smoothness, but he struggles with his fitness. Okay. And then we have Alex Rogers, our other driver. Alex is a fairly decent driver with the European Racing Series. He doesn't have a huge amount of potential. He's, older, so that's expected. So we shouldn't expect him to improve very much at all. Alex has an aptitude for overtaking, but he struggles with his fitness. So both of our drivers have problems with fitness, and we are predicted end of the season position 16th. So 15th and 16th out of 10 teams. So obviously the bottom would be 20th. Peter Young as one of the weakest drivers within the year. So this is probably our reserve driver. Weakest drivers within the European racing series is probably not worth staking a huge amount on his potential for improvement, as he's operating near the limits of his driving ability. Peter's strength is his feedback, but he struggles with his fitness. We only have a short amount of time until the start of the season, so if you want to make any changes, you better be quick. All right, so we have a reserve driver that's not really all that useful, apparently. So we'll have to take a look at our drivers here. Okay, it's the start of the new season, so we need to clarify just how well you think the team is going to do this season, which sets the payment amount that I can give you after each race. I think we have the chance of achieving something decent this season. I predict that we'll come 8th in the team's championship this season, but where do you think we'll finish? So, more or less, I guess this is me deciding on how much pressure I want to put on myself. So, if I say 10th, that means we're going to finish dead last, and he's not going to pay me as much. If I say 8th, that's exactly what he expects, so I'll get kind of a middle amount. And then if I say 6th with his pretty remarkable improvement, I get paid more, but probably have more pressure on myself. And this is our chairman here, James Arnold. So I'm going to go ahead and go with 8th, just play it safe because this is our first season. Maybe we'll take a risk in the future, but that's going to be our choice. So that is our starting salary. Okay, so that's pretty much all the messages we have to look at. So let's go ahead and take a look at our drivers. All right, so Peter Young is our backup or reserve driver. He's not particularly young, which is probably why he has no real potential. Cost-wise, he doesn't cost us a lot of money, but getting rid of him would be expensive if we wanted to do so. Probably I would want to scout drivers to get a replacement for him before I decide to do that. And then let's go ahead and get into our driver details, because we do get a basic synopsis of what their skills are. So right now we can see that Alex Rogers, for instance, has problems with fitness and cornering. And Mustafa El Sadat has problems with braking and fitness. So those are some areas we can improve them in. Let's go to their driver details, though. So what we're looking at here is the driver trait. So we've got racer. All right, so modifier applies during races only. So when he's in a race, so not when he's doing practice or qualifying or anything like that, although I don't know if the rules of our league necessarily has qualifying. I'd actually have to look at the rules again. That's something that I didn't really pay too much attention to. In case you get stats bonuses during the race. Hates team orders, so the driver will not take team orders. If he's faster than me, then he should overtake me. So he's a little bit temperamental, and then he's a Vancouver expert. And it only applies in a specific location. Considering that we are in the European series, I think all of our races are in Europe, so this is completely and totally useless to us. But, it's something. Okay, so he is more than likely going to be our lead driver, so I'm just going to go ahead and favorite this driver. So pretty much, if we want to do comparisons and things, it'll be easy to find him. Let's now take a look at Alex Rogers here. So he is also a racer, which is nice, and he's also passionate. So driver wants to win trophies before retirement. So he doesn't ask for as much money, I guess. So he's looking for a championship over being paid, I guess is how that works. Also, another thing to keep in mind is each of these guys has a race mechanic. So it looks like our more skilled race mechanic is on Mustafa here, as opposed to Alex Rogers. Okay, so she has decent potential. All right, both of our mechanics are looking good. I mean, they're not great now, but they've got good potential for the future. Maybe not as much our second race mechanic. And then finally, we have our third driver, who is smart, adaptability, and feedback. Unfortunately, he's not a very good driver outside of that. All right, well, that's our drivers. Let's now go ahead and take a look at our cars. So right now, our performance is slated at decent. Now, these are the different aspects of our cars. So we've got engine, Yeah, top speed, acceleration, deceleration, and medium speed corners. Now you'll notice that this here is grayed out. That's because in our championship or league, we cannot make modifications to either of these two parts here. So that's something to keep in mind for the future. And we can design new parts, and I don't see a reason why not to. But let's first take a look at what parts are fitted here. So at the moment, I guess we're just using kind of basic parts. Although I see kind of a parts lead for our lead car. The purple car is our lead car. All right, well, in any case, let's go to design new parts. All right, so where are we lacking? We're lacking in top speed, and I think our engineer did say engine would be a good place to start for that. We have gearbox, brakes, front wing we can't do anything with, rear wing we can't do anything, and then we have suspension. So I'm going to just go ahead and start with engine. All right, so we have a bunch of different traits that we can put into this new engine. Or we could just use the designer's ability to reduce the build time. Considering that we might not actually use this part, because I don't think it's actually going to be, well, it may give me more performance than my current stuff. Yeah, current best is here. So if I do nothing, this should be better. But you can see reliability is pretty down. So let's see if we can do something about the reliability. So we can get a base stat bonus here, plus reliability. I can get, if I deselect that, I can get a much higher increase to it, but I get a risk level. Now, risk level is your chance of being caught for breaking rules. More or less, you're bending some of the rules to try and improve your performance, but at the end of the race, they may decide that your part is not within the rules and you will be penalized. So there's always a risk for the way you set things up. Then we just have a general stat bonus. I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go with the increase to reliability. I don't necessarily have to use this part, but I think it would be worth developing it, because when we develop it, then we'll go on to the next upgraded point where we can start getting more abilities in here. So for instance, I can get reliability way up with the next slot so that we'll actually have a part that will not break on us. Or, we could maybe switch some things around. I'm actually curious, if I go with this, I don't actually know if we would be able to switch up our slots, because I would definitely like to take the plus 50% reliability, but then maybe slot in one of these other bonuses, like getting us top speed overall. But, for now, I think I'm going to go with this. So the cost to us right this second is 1,500,000 plus the 50,000 for the choice I chose here. So this is the choice. If I chose the designer's component thing, then I reduce a day, but I don't also add on that $50,000. I don't think $50,000 in this case is all that big of a deal. So we're going to go ahead and get the reliability to make this part not break so easily. And we'll build that part. So we're going to go a little bit into the red, but that's how it works. Okay, so we've got that part working. It will take us 13 days to finish. And we have 16 days before our next race, so we will get it done before the race is here. Okay, so we're in the red. I could take a look at our HQ facilities. Right now, all we have is a factory, a staff center, and a design center. And pretty much what these do are the bonuses that are shown here. So time to design parts, development of staff, and also 6 extra part improvement slots. And then the staff center, this is pretty much the improvement rate of our different drivers. There are other buildings that we can buy here. We can get a test track, we can get telemetry center, brake R&D, and so on and so forth. Scouting facility, for instance, which is one of the cheaper buildings for us. But I don't think that's necessarily what we're going to do right now because we're down on money. I think what we really want to do is go to sponsors. So we do have a sponsor available. So right now we have 2 sponsors already slotted in. Now sponsors are going to give you more cash. So right now we have Golden Tiger Bank as one of our sponsors, and it's going to last for 9 races. And the bonus is 13th or above, and we get a bonus of 200,000 if we do that. So we got upfront of 900,000, and then we get 200,000 every time we finish 13th or above. That's actually not too bad for our team, not too hard of a sponsor to please. Okay, so over here, we got upfront payment of 450,000 plus 85,000 per race. And right now, we have no other offers for fixed payment, so fixed payment is going to be automatic. There's nothing you need to do. Race bonus is something that you need to do to get it. So for instance, I have to finish 13th or above. We only have really one other sponsor we can take. Let's take a look at it. So this is a bonus per race, no upfront cash, if we finish 5th or above, and this lasts for 10 races. I don't think this is really something I'm going to take because this would lock us in for 10 races. I don't think that's a good idea. That's a sponsor for our team where it is right now, not ideal. Now, in comparison with the other team I used in the tutorial, I had pretty much every slot having offers, and the offers were a lot more than just one. It was like 3 per slot. So a lot more to choose from, so it was easy for me to rack up cash. So that's the reason why I say your starting budget doesn't necessarily matter as much if you can rack up sponsors. We unfortunately can't because we're not all that marketable. Our 2 drivers, Mustafa El Sadat and Alex Rogers, only have marketability of 30% and 44%, and then we have our overall team of 20%, which balances out to 31%. So if we improve that, we might get our sponsor appeal up. All right, the next thing to check out is our team, I think. I don't think I'm going to really do too much messing around of any of the staff or anything like that. But I do want to take a look at scouting. So I do think it would be a good idea to start... Oh, you know one thing I didn't check with the drivers? 10 months, 10 months, 10 months. So all of their contracts are 10 months. Probably, honestly, the only one of these guys that I'd want to renew would be our main lead driver. In any case, let's take a look at the scouting here. And right now, we don't have anyone scouted. So I think we just go down the list. Actually, let's pick people by age. So this person here isn't even signed onto a team. Matter of fact, can we get more people that aren't signed on teams? I don't know if that's something we can do. Okay, yeah, any case, let's go ahead and just scout drivers. I think this is a good idea to get some players in development, maybe. So I'll do that group for now. So these are the ones we're going to be scouting here, and then we'll just kind of work our way through the queue. And I think that gives us a good start. Finances, income per race is 258,000. So right now we're in the hole, but I expect we'll make that up pretty quickly, especially if we get our one sponsor bonus here of 200,000. That should really help. And we also get 85. Well, that's already probably factored in. And then standings, nobody has any standings. And then calendar is when the race will happen. So our first one is going to be the Black Sea GP, which expected to rain. Okay, that's important to know. Although it will be sunny in practice, so that'll kind of mess people up. I don't really want the sponsor, so we'll just hit continue to see if it will go on. Okay, so we've got more sponsors lined up here, which is Oh, maybe it's just the same sponsor? It's the same sponsor, isn't it? Yeah, I don't think we're ready for that sponsor. I mean, I could take it anyway just to do it, but I'd prefer to get the slots open in case we get more sponsors later. All right, let's see what we got. We've got just a news report here. All right, Mouse Gunner is taking control of the team starting right now. Team chairman James Arnold told a packed press room. I'm sure that Mouse, given his history as a former lead designer, will give us an edge when we're developing new parts for our car. Okay. You know, one thing I didn't take a look at. Okay, so he is British, the team chairman. All right, what else we got here? Okay. We've had word from Workplace. Okay, so one of the drivers is seriously considered retiring. It's on a different team, so it doesn't necessarily matter to us, but it may drop Garuda Racing down because they are currently the leaders. Unless he's just a reserve driver, and then I guess it doesn't matter. I could maybe check that. He might be their second driver. Okay, well, in any case, out of curiosity, if we go to our own team, does it list them? Yeah, it looks like it lists them in order 1 to reserve. So, yeah, he's probably their second driver. Okay, fan reaction to Gunner's appointment. Mixed. Okay. I'm going to give Mouse Gunner the benefit of the doubt. It could be a great appointment, said one of the positive responses. Is Gunner really good enough to manage our team? Asked another fan. I don't know. We'll find out. And then we've got a must respond. Be interested in doing an interview for Channel 6. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, Archer BMR is your new home, but it isn't the best team in the ERS. What's your plan? We might not be one of the big boys, but I can promise that we're going to work our absolute hardest to aim to finish somewhere near the top. I'm not going to say that. I'm aiming to plant down a solid foundation. This season is about transitioning from one of the also rans into a top team. This year is about stabilizing. We need to survive, pick up a few points, and then kick on. I'd say this. We have a future here. Okay. Mustafa Al-Sadat is seen by the fans as your top driver. Do you agree with that? Or would you say Alex Rogers is better? Well, right now they're actually pretty equal. I'm going to say the answer C here, the diplomatic answer. I'm lucky enough to have inherited 2 great drivers, and I can't wait to see them race. Okay, in the Channel 6 season preview, I wrote that you were expected to finish 8th in the team's championship. Is this accurate, or do you think that you can do any better? I'm going to say the prediction seems fair, but I'm hoping that we're going to surprise you. You've been a legendary engineer in the pit lane for years now. Are you expecting your background to give you an advantage on the pit wall? Okay. I'm going to say the fans should know that they're safe in my hands. Right now, morale and happiness is good. Marketability is low. Maybe my answers aren't pushing things enough. I did just raise marketability, so that's good. Okay, I think that's everything. Thanks, Mouse. All right. So we might have improved our situation a little bit. I wasn't paying attention to those bars initially, but did look like we improved our marketability for the team a little bit with that interview. In any case, I think this is a good point to go ahead and put a cut in our first video. So I hope you guys have enjoyed. This is Mouse Gunner signing out.